لم ينس جلوفر مشاركة وطنه الأم أفريقيا آمالها وطموحاتها، فقدم أفلاما مميزة من إنتاج دول أفريقيا، أهمها فيلم جمهورية الأطفال.
These have been lost for a long time.
Can you see me now?
I can see the beautiful girl you will grow up to be. These glasses once belonged to very wise men. And one day, they fell into the hands of a man who didn't want to see with them. They've been lost for a long time. Now you found them.
I don't have a future.
Yes. Yes. You will live. You will become a doctor. You always wanted to be a doctor.
How do you know?
There's so many wounds to heal in the city. And we need a lot of doctors. You'll see. You will learn to treat the city and at the same time treat the people. That is the most important thing.
Can you see all those things with those glasses?
Yes, I can.
Tell me more about your film, The Children's Republic.
Well, The Children's Republic is such that Flora Gomez is a great filmmaker. He's a wonderful filmmaker. He's from Guinea-Bissau, a former Portuguese colony. He came with an idea, and as we know, one of the major issues in the world, and particularly in Africa, was the idea of child soldiers.
Yes.
What if we make an allegory, a story about children taking over after the collapse of their nation, taking over and reimagining, and I use the important word, imagination, reimagining and reconstructing a world in which it is built around children's leadership, around love, community, of healing. It's a world of healing,
yes.
Healing our hearts, healing our lives. What if we create that image of that, you know? So that's what the Children's Republic is about. It's about healing. It's about love. It's about healing. It's about transformation.
But what I know about the film, that it presents facts about problems related to the African, such as economical, social, political problems. Was this the main reason for presenting this film? Well,
I think it does that as well, but I think the story affects, when we have conflict and war, who does war affect? What sector of society, of the community, does it affect most? Women and children.
Yes.
So children are most affected by war. If we see the conflicts of today, who are the ones who are most affected by, who are the ones who are most in pain from that war? It's children and mothers, you know. So I think on the one hand, the Children's Republic represents a great deal more than that. Even if we look at Egypt today, whatever the conflict has happened here, if we talk about poverty, who is most affected by poverty? If we talk about inequality, who is most affected by inequality?
Yes.
Women and children.
Yes.
I want you to meet my family here. This is my family.
بدأ جلوفر نشاطه السياسي منذ أن كان طالبا بالجامعة، حيث لعب دورا هاما في اتحاد الطلاب السود، وازداد نشاطه بعد شهرته كممثل معروف، حيث كان داعما قويا لمعظم التظاهرات السياسية في أمريكا، وانتقد بشدة سياسات بلاده أثناء حكم الرئيس بوش.
They're the ones whose backs that we all stand on. Remember that.
How do you see the Egyptian cinema, or what's your opinion about the different fields of movie making in Egypt, or the Egyptian cinema? Drama, action, comedy, all types.
It's not for me to say, because, I mean, and one thing that we understand clearly is that it's important for where the determinants are.
Okay.
The determinants, who determines what?
Yes.
We see.
Okay.
You know.
Yes.
You know, as Egypt played a role in his cinema,
Yes.
which goes back 100 years. I mean, it goes back a long time, Egyptian cinema, you know. The first thing when you begin to take control of your image is to find the mechanisms available to you to empower yourself.
Yes,
And
it's very important to
they're
do
very
this.
important, you know.
Okay.
So the question about the stories that I want to see now are stories of how is Egypt being transformed at this particular moment through its art, through its cultural production. You know, how does it see this cultural production? And there's been a lot that's happened in Egypt over the last 2.5 years or so. No doubt about it. It's been all on the world stage. How does Egyptians interpret that?
Yes.
And use that as a platform as they move forward in the future? That's what it does.
So do you see that there is an obvious progress?
I don't know that yet, you know. I don't know that, you know, because we have to continue to find ways in which, as the contradictions change within the political situation, the social situation, the cultural situation, how those images are now translated through people's values and their ideas, and to translate it by way of cinema. I think it's important for cinema, for real people to see themselves.
Yes, of course.
And see themselves as architects of a new future.
Yes.
And I think it's important, and cinema can play that role. Has cinema in the world done that? Not exactly. I mean, you feel various moments. You look at French cinema after World War II or Italian cinema after World War II. It's specific in some sort of way. And out of that emerged several stars, international stars out of that. But it was just a moment because of the devastation of the war and the impact that had on people's lives, you know.
Yes.
Something comes out of that, you know. So you have the various other filmmakers who come out of that, like Truffaut, other filmmakers that come out of that period, or people like Fellini or Visconti. You know, one of my favorite films is Visconti's The Leopard, a wonderful film that takes place, in a sense, takes place at the point of the unification of Italy in the 1840s, in the mid 1840s. But it speaks volumes about Italy at a certain other point, post World War II.
I got something for you. Hey, pictures come back nice and sharp. They're a real beauty. Yes, Tamsin. Sorry. It's yeah. Hear me. Yeah. Nice talent. I'm moving on now. Boy, nothing's gonna stop me. Not you, God, nor man, I promise you that. I'm gonna miss you, son. You're my own. My very own.
So film is about who's going to control the image, and that's what the struggle is. Who's going to control the stories, you know? And how and the mechanism, and who's the voice? What are the voices that you know, that we're allowed to talk about? I mean, one of my favorite books that I've read was a book by Abdurrahman Munif, who is the City of Salt, is a great book in the region. Why does someone not do? When somebody do a film about that? And one of the parts that I read was, I think, was most fascinating was the period before oil was discovered. What were the Bedouin communities like before oil was something? So on the one hand, when I read something like that, I said, boy, this would make great cinema. Yes. You know what I'm saying? In a great cinema, just as Usman Sambani's God's Bits of Wood, about a railway strike in 1947 in Senegal on the line from Dakar to Bamako, one of the most famous railway lines in French West Africa, you know, and the way in which that changed the whole movement around decolonization. The strike does that. Those are the kind of stories that I think encourage people, strengthen them, and make them say, I think what is clearly, if this is possible, look what else is possible.
النجم الكبير داني جلوفر.
He is the star of the opening film, Danny Glover.
But to be here in Egypt, the home of civilization, here in Africa, the birthplace of civilization, to be here with the Egyptian people here is very special. It is truly one of the amazing experiences in my life. My dear mother, and parents who I'd like to pay tribute to, always felt something was special happening. And I remember when I was a young actor, not so young, rather, but still struggling as an actor. And my mother would always tell her friends, when they would ask, well, what movie has he done? What has he performed in? And she would always say, he hasn't done anything yet, but one day he's going to do something important. And I think my mother, as she looks down upon us right here with the gods, she would say, being here with you is that something important.